Hey, Shalom Makiam, Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakahakwadash. When I send double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word in sincerity and truth. This is the brother Ariala. And, I was listening to this clip on Fresh and Fit podcast, and they asked one of these guys a question about what men should be thinking about right now. And I think there's a revolution going on in masculinity where because of the spirit, because of the way things are rolling, there's a certain sector of men standing up and wanting to fight for their position that the Most High set as far as our role, our order, and our way. And as there's more economic turmoil, there's more political turmoil, there is a sense in the air of just, hey, being a man and standing up as a man. And so I wanted to play this clip because I felt like it was articulated very well. And, first, what I'm going to read is the book of Hebrews, the 12th chapter. In the 12th verse, it says, "Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently, lest any man fall of the grace of the Most High, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled." Okay, and so we're in a time of, strengthening ourselves, making lifting up our hands which hang down, and strengthening the feeble knees, making straight paths. Meaning, it's time to stand up manfully. It's time to stand up manfully. A good example of that is definitely when you read in Maccabees when the Israelites were set about by enemies, and you had Judas basically exhort all the men that they, get ready for a fight. When you go to Second Maccabees 15 and 17, it says, "Thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good and able to stir them up to valor and to encourage the hearts of the young men, they determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them and manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger." And we, as the men of the Lord, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, we stand as that temple, and it is threatened round about. And we are in a time like never before to be courageous, to stand up manfully, to be prepared for a spiritual conflict and even a physical one if necessary, as they try to push the MOTB on our people. You're going to have to be willing to be courageous and and stand up manly in those days. But right now, we're in a time where testosterone levels are at an all-time low. On the Highways and Byways, we was bringing that out, how, they've destroyed the nature of or the idea and the physicality of being a man, to the point to where men's estrogen levels are at an all-time high and testosterone levels are at an all-time low. They want you to be in a bitch-made state. Why? Because you're more easily controlled in that state. You're more easily defeated in that state. And so this is the nature of the battle. Okay? Just as we read this article now, this article is 4 years ago, back in October of 2017, and it's just gotten worse. I mean, you can Google it yourself. But in this Forbes article, it says, "You're not the man your father was." And it says, according to a recent report from JAMA, testosterone therapy among American men is on the rise. From 2010 to 2013, prescriptions more than doubled, which researchers partially attribute to ubiquitous drug marketing campaigns urging older men to boost low T levels. The swell of interest reflects a genuine physiological shift. Across the population, men today have less testosterone compared to men of the same age a generation ago. Asking why requires untangling a complex web of social, environmental, and behavioral factors that are dismantling old age ideas about masculinity and triggering real anxiety over changing gender roles. All right, so things are upside down. It says studies show that men's testosterone levels have been declining for decades. The most prominent, a 2007 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, revealed a substantial drop in U.S. men's testosterone levels since the 1980s. with average levels declining about 1% per year. This means, for an example, that a 60-year-old man in 2004 had testosterone levels 17% lower than those of a 60-year-old in 1987. Another study of Danish men produced similar findings with double-digit declines among men born in the 60s compared to those born in the 20s. And so, this is something that we always talk about, brothers that watch boxing, you notice when you watch 80s boxing, even early 90s boxing, the viciousness, the manliness, the toughness, the grit is way different than now. Now it's like you blow on these dudes, even in basketball, football. It's just even though men are bigger, stronger, they're weaker. They're weaker. Men in the 80s and the early 90s and 70s have just much more grit. Our fathers, our uncles, our grandfathers, my granddad. Come on, man. You brothers that remember your granddad, just tough, hard, masculine men, and that nature is literally being wiped out, and it's frowned upon to the point to where now look at society. We talk about when Biden got in, how much of a freakism was going to increase. I mean, look, the transgender movement, the alphabet movement is just running rampant. What's pushed forward as the image of a man is it's gay. It's weak. And the black woman has basically taken the seat of masculinity. And this is done by design. This is done by design. In Matthew 12:29, it says, "Or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house." In the house of Israel, Yasha Allah, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who have been scattered across the four corners of the earth, your house has been spoiled, and the strong men that represent our nation, or used to represent our nation, have been bound. But we're in a time of revolution and standing up. So with no further ado, I'm going to play this clip and go from there.
What should all men do to prepare for the future and what's coming? For dating and for just survival.
This is good.
I'm about to get pessimistic.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Get your notepads ready and like the goddamn video. It's about to drop some goddamn sauce right now, man.
Guys, this will change your life, literally. Guys, this talk right here will change your whole dynamic of what you think life is, what it really is.
Notepads out.
Yeah. All right. So I'm about to get a little bit pessimistic. And when I say pessimistic, I don't mean in a way that we can't win, but you need to identify threats, right? You're not gonna be able to stop the punch you don't see coming. And you need to understand that the world you live in as a man, in my personal view, has been very purposefully constructed. And it's been constructed in a way to destroy your masculine power and support networks. It's not a coincidence that the things that are on TV are on TV. It's not a coincidence that the laws in regards to men and women are the laws in regards to men and women. It's not a coincidence that men are taught the things they're taught about how they should act, about how they should be, etc. What they are trying to do is destroy your ability to be sovereign and be true to your instinct-based nature as a man. And I'm telling you, this is something that's happening right now in real time. The reason they are doing this is because revolutions are nothing more than groups of men in one place. That's all revolutions have ever been. And as they get more authoritarian and tyrannical, as they start making more and more ridiculous demands of the common man, as they start destroying more and more livelihoods, the last thing they want are brave, strong men who are going to stand up and say no. They want men who are afraid of their wives, stuck at home, paying taxes with kids who don't respect them, who can't get a divorce because they'll lose the house. That's what they want. They want slaves. They're trying to turn men into slaves. That's all you're good for now. You're workhorses. You're slaves. And the future of the world, especially in the West, is a further encroachment on your sovereign ability, your sovereign thoughts, your base instincts, the things that make you happy. Absolutely nobody is concerned with male happiness on any level. They don't want you to be happy. They want you to be miserable. A miserable slave in a tax bracket. And you have to understand this. So when you look around you, you have to understand all the things you learned in university, all the shows on TV, when you watch that Friends episode and Joey's making those stupid jokes, all this crap, all of it is very, very purposeful. And the only way you can combat against it is to take significant action. You have to take significant action. We mentioned earlier, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most.
Listen, and the first part of action is renewing your mind in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, coming back into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Most High. This is how you can move. This is how you start to discern manfully, spiritually as a man. This is the first steps of taking back your manhood. Okay? This is what we're being taught from the scriptures. When you read Revelation 21:3, it says, "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them and be their power." This is the revolution. This is what they're afraid of. And that's why brothers all across the world's videos are being taken down. You know, Dabu 7 and all these guys, they can talk about the jab and go in on that, and they don't even get so much as a strike. But when men come on here and they're preaching prophecy and going through the scriptures and opening up the minds of other men, and we're having this association where the scripture says, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I shall be in the midst. That is real power. That is real revolution. And so they don't want that. They want the heritage of our nation destroyed. Micah 2:1 says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." And so this is what's been happening, man. The Esau, the elite, they've broken apart the family structure. They've removed the spiritual mindset from the men. They've taken the men out of the house, and they've created a counterculture that uplifts women, uplifts men being feminine and women being masculine, and they've turned everything upside down. Well, the Most High's got judgment reserved for that, you know. The Most High's got judgment reserved for that. In Isaiah 29:16, it says, "Surely your turning of things upside down." You know what? Start at 15. It says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord." All the Illuminati, the elite, what they're doing, and their works are in the dark, and they say, "Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say to him that framed it, He had no understanding?" Yeah, so, you know, you got Esau, who's basically turned everything upside down, and they think that they're going to get away with weakening the nations and weakening the men, taking the men out of the home. But actually the Most High is setting up an okie doke, because what it's doing is creating chaos. And that chaos is going to turn on Esau's head. And even while he's done this, what's happening is that there's a revolution happening, a revolution of masculinity. Men are starting to stand up. You know, men are starting to say, okay, no, this is some BS. You know, men are realizing that they're getting the raw end of the deal in every aspect of society. And there's a reckoning coming. And a huge reckoning is going to come from the elect, the men of Yasha Allah that are following Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. That's where the main brunt of the reckoning is going to come from. But worldwide, there's a pushback, and that pushback is leading to war. Men are starting to stand up and wanting their sovereignty back, wanting to be able to establish themselves again. Okay, they're fighting back against this system. Okay, so we have to put off, like as scriptures talk about. I think Second Ezra 14 and 13. It says, "Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times." All right. It says, "For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein." So the times are the times are getting more evil. Men are getting more weak. So it's time for us as the hopeful elect to put off that weak nature. Put it off and put on the thoughts of immortality, legacy, sovereignty, power with Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, righteousness. These are the things that we should focus on. These are now is high time that we wake out of sleep because our salvation is nearer than what we believed. Okay? So that's the point.
Time with. I believe in the world we now live in, things like Fresh and Fit are fantastic. You have Fresh, you have Fit, you have Rolo, you have Waller, you have Sterling. You have guys here from all around the world, far spread out, in one place giving game to the guys, because you'll notice if you're a man of any kind of stature in the world today, you're not going to meet anybody on your level in day-to-day life. Everybody's...
And the main men you should be looking to be around, like it talks about in 2nd Ezra, the 8th chapter and the 9th chapter, you want to get around men of the Lord, men that have the hope of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua in the forefront of their mind, right? The men that want that will to be pressed forward. It says, in 2nd Ezra 8:50, it says, "For many great miseries shall be done to them that are in the latter time, them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee." Those are the people you're looking to associate and congregate with. Men that are going to take on the fruits of the Spirit. Men that are taking on the Spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That's who you want to get around.
He's still inside of the matrix. You have to use the internet. It's the tool they're using. The internet is the tool they're using to brainwash the masses. You need to combat it and use their own tool against them to seek out the kind of information, knowledge, and friends that you need to have around you. You are going to be the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So that if everyone understands that, as an intelligent person, you're going to be extremely careful and you're going to curate heavily the 5 people you hang around with. If you're a dumbass, you're not going to think about it.
Right. And so we did a lesson. We had a class session that talked about agents. Be mindful of who you talk to, why you talk to them, how you talk to them, who you're around. Why? Because the people that are in the matrix will turn into agents to destroy you. So you need to be mindful about who you're sharing this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding with. Cast not thy pearls unto swine, like the scriptures say, man. Put on now the immortal thoughts. Put on the immortal clothing, all right? Put ye on the elect and get around those people that are doing the same. Those people are going to keep the fire burning, around and keep things hot, okay?
So in regards to the future, what's exactly going to happen? Well, these last 2 years have been pretty crazy. Did anyone see that coming? I don't think they did. I think we're just at the beginning. I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I think it's going to get worse and worse. And
we're at the beginning of sorrows.
You know who's going to take the brunt of all the crap, no matter how bad the world gets? The men. Because no matter how bad the world gets, a sexy bitch is always going to have the best possible experience because she's a sexy bitch. That's life. The men are going to take all the shit. We always are. So you need to be aware of what's happening around you, and you need to create for yourself a social network of people who understand that and are doing their best to combat that. And that's why things like the War Room exist. That's why things like Fresh and Fit exist. This is more than just entertainment, gentlemen. This is extremely important, what's happening here. Because if you're just going to ignore the internet and ignore its power as a networking tool and just try and make friends.
And that's why Esau is going to shut down the internet. We talk about these things. We talk about how they're going to start to restrict your ability to congregate online. Why? Because it is creating a revolution. But it's too late now. The word of the Lord has gone out. Now I'm relating what he's saying as far as what they call, there's whatever label, manosphere, red pill, alpha, whatever. But I'm relating it to the spiritual revolution that's happening with the elect of Yahshua Allah. That's what's important. And that's really what they want to stop. That's really, really what they want to constrain. But now that word is going out, all right? And and basically that snowball is rolling downhill, and it's just creating more and more and more momentum. But just like the dude is saying, it is going to get worse. But hey, we warning these women that it's not going to be good for you when it really hit the fan. It's not. Yeah, so when you go and you get Isaiah the 13th chapter and you read the 11th verse, it says, "And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir." So men are going to be valuable in those days. A man of the Lord is going to be extremely valuable. So you should be raising your value in the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai and prepare for those times. Cruel times, hard times, bad times, sorrow, lamentation is coming. All right, lamentation is coming. And so, we are in the time where we should be manning up. That was the original name of our page whenever Great Millstone Dallas first got launched by Elder Yashawamba, and at the time, Atmashaba Allah, the name of our page was Man Up Jacob, meaning to rise up, man up, and stand manfully in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We are in that time where we need to gird ourselves up, right? Job 38:3, gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee and answer thou me. And it's time to stand to the call. It's time to man up and stand to the call. Okay, so I had a few other scriptures, but I feel like the point has been made. Lord willing, it was edifying. Please, Akim, if you have extra scriptures, please post it in the comment board. But with that, man, I'm gonna say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you, Akim, out there pushing the word in sincerity and truth. Shalom.